Welcome to the Real Advisor Podcast. TRAP, TRAP. Please follow us and join in the conversation on Twitter @Advisor Podcast, where you can suggest ideas and themes you'd like the TRAP team to discuss. Also remember to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel and leave a 6 out of 5-star review on iTunes. Doing all this really helps us, which means we can do more to help you. Now let's head over to the studio for the latest pile of TRAP.
Yes, indeed, dear Trappists. Welcome back to what many people are calling episode 34 of the Real Advisor Podcast, TRAP, TRAP. My name is Lick Lincoln, and joining me as ever are the three other horsemen of the apocalypse. Carl the Voice Widger, Andy Ultra Heart, and Alan the Storyteller Smith. Now, gentlemen, we have a show packed full of absolutely nothing. So let's start unpacking it straight away with some high energy reviews read by my good friend, Mr. Andrew Hart. Already talking over me, and what are we now? Yeah, 13 seconds in. Brilliant. Crack on.
Yeah. Or why change a good old habit? So the first review is from Marcus Australia. I believe he's from Australia, entitled Great UK Banter, 5 stars. As an advisor in Australia, this would have to be my favourite financial planning podcast to listen to by far. It's a ritual listening to it as soon as the episode breaks. It makes me chuckle away at the Irish UK banter, but also teaches valuable lessons throughout from 4 very experienced and varied advisors. Would recommend to any financial planner or really to any person who needs a good laugh. Thank you very much, Marcus, all the way from down under. Next up is from Paul at Navigate, Northern Irish Advisor, entitled Informative, Straight Talking and Good Crack. 5 stars. I've listened to every episode and taken something from each one, whether it's a book recommendation, new tech solution, or a turn of phrase to help with clients. All brilliant. It's like a fortnightly check-in to all things relevant in the financial planning world. Keep up the great work, guys. Thank you. Back to you, boss.
Great stuff. Thank you, Trappists, for the reviews. They do mean an awful lot. And as ever, if you could put your real names in the reviews, if you'd like to do that, that would be great, because then we know who you are. And it engenders the sense of community that we're trying desperately to build. Okay, so quite a lot in the news recently. And we'll start off with a couple of sad events. I'll just quickly mention the passing of Bill Vasilieff. We lost Ian Taylor last year, the sort of driving force behind Transact. And Bill Vasilieff was another titan in the platform field. He did Celestia at the turn of the century, and that acquired Scandia and was bought by Old Mutual, and then he started Novia. So I didn't use any of his products, but I know people that worked for him, and I know IFAs that used his platforms, and he apparently seemed to be a very good egg. So rest in peace, Bill Vasilieff. And an even bigger titan in the world of finance and investing, past Mr. Hart.
Yes, so Charlie Munger, who is Warren Buffett's sort of confidant, right-hand man, left-hand man, depending on how you're viewing him. Anyway, his date of birth was the 1st of January, 1924. So he would have been 100 on the 1st of January, 2024. So he died at 99. Very wise individual, shared a lot of sort of mental models with the world. And my favourite Charlie Munger quote is, "The first 100K is a bitch." That's it. Back to you. Any comments?
No, I shall. I'll double down on the Charlie Munger passing in the culture corner, because I've got something of interest in there on that from the late Mr. Munger. Andy had a very good interview recently with our pal Lee Robertson.
Yes, it's the first interview I've done for Octo members. I've been aware of Octo members for a while. I think Alan did an average interview a couple of years ago, so it was my turn on the mic. I think it was about half an hour, 40 minutes, just discussing sort of what I'm up to and a couple of other things. So yeah, check it out. Octo members, I think you've got to download the app. It's mainly app based, or sometimes you can look at it on the desktop. And again, Lee Robertson's a good friend of all of us on the call. So yeah, check it out. That's it. Back to you, Nick.
Great stuff. Yeah, I watched it on the desktop version. But you do have to log in and set up your profile to be able to access Octo members. Now, Widger, you had this unique idea. How's it going?
The Irish Ideas Exchange. Yeah, it was the phrase. The icebreaker was coined by Jane McAleese. I think that was a perfect way to describe it, because we actually gathered in a pub in Dublin, and I won't say we did no work, because we did talk about financial planning a bit in our various businesses.
Absolute shambles.
Yeah, but it was, do you know what? It was a lot of fun. So 12 people, 12 hardy souls on a dirty evening in Dublin turned up. And it was great because there was a mix of, like, you know, people who are part of bigger firms, people who are total solos, and then people who have kind of smaller teams. So what we've agreed anyway is that, yes, there is possibly something here. So we're going to meet up in the new year over coffee and maybe kind of set an agenda and that kind of stuff. So whilst there was 12 there, I think there's 4 or maybe even 5 have since dropped me a mail to say, look, couldn't make it, or a text, but love to be involved. So look, I think there's something there. And there was lots of chat around, you know, how do we get, you know, the whole vibe of real financial planning out to the market, and, you know, is there something that we could do together? So that was kind of one of the main themes. And the other one was I suppose, generally speaking, people were having torture with the various providers, that the service levels were pretty poor. I've actually had an instance of really, really good service. I think we need to point that out as much as we need to point out the bad stuff as well. But yeah, Ideas Exchange Ireland kicked off with an icebreaker, and we look forward to meeting, hopefully maybe January at some stage, and I'll fill you in as to progress as we go. So yeah, good start.
Great stuff.
Well done, Carl. Pioneering. It's funny.
As I was saying to you guys before we started recording, I had a credit to Aviva. I did a pension switch recently. It took 3 working days from submitting the pension switch form to Transact to Aviva sending the money over. So yeah, excellent. More of that. Alan, you were saying.
Well, just commenting, the UK Ideas Exchange meets about 7:30 in the morning over breakfast in a hotel in central London. The Irish do it the right way. They meet at 6:30 at night in a pub. Probably a cheap.
Well, look, I suppose, look, it was because I didn't know if there was going to be any appetite for this at all. So I think it was actually it was a good thing to do, because it's just much more relaxed over a few drinks. I should point out that I mentioned on, I think it was the last show, that if Consumer Duty came into Ireland, that 90% of the advisors would have to cease. And just to clarify on that point, because a few people went,
I feel a backtrack coming here, my friend.
Go on. That was it's a point of clarification. The context around me saying that was Alan had mentioned that in the Consumer Duty, it says that all IFAs in the UK have to do cash flow modelling. So that was the context behind it. I don't believe more than 10% of the Irish market are using cash flow modelling as standard practice. So just to clarify that point, that's where I was coming from.
How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Yeah.
By Carl Widger. Update.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. It seems maybe not.
We're rubbing off on him. Let's keep this going.
Keep it going.
Rubbing off on Widger. There's a mental model for you. Okay. Mr. Smith, Sunday Times.
Oh yeah, this is one of these reports. You don't know whether to laugh or cry. It's actually quite funny in a way. Sunday Times. Ali Hussein comes out again. He's got it in for the financial services industry. But this one is quite interesting. And it refers to Carl. You'd be aware that in the UK for a while now, companies, certainly investment managers, have been expected to complete value assessment reports and publish them, put them prominently and publicly on their websites, and give access to them, and give information to customers and clients so they can identify. And they've got to have assessed it themselves to identify whether it's value for money. And I'm just going to refer to the article here when it talks about this. They go through a whole range of big sort of fund groups and asset managers. Then just to pick on one, it's the first one of a number that they've analysed. And so it's Lloyd's Bank, Lloyd's Investment Management, which in turn own a lot of investment companies, including Scottish Widows. Scottish Halifax, etc. So on the Scottish Widows website, you must first click the Personal tab, then scroll right to the bottom of the page to Fund Centre. You then scroll down to Fund Charges and Changes, and then scroll to OIC, Open-Ended Investment Company, and ISA Fund Documents. You then click through to the value reports for Halifax and Scottish Widows Fund, but you'll need to go to
read their own markings.
You'll then need to go to page 19 and click on individual funds to get a summary. then of the Scottish Widows funds, 32 of the 36 analysed had a red, i.e. poor rating for performance. 23 of the 31 funds were rated red for performance. Also, the Halifax range, 23 of the 31 funds, in other words, the vast majority were rated red. In other words, terrible. And just the funny thing is, in the report, Sophie O'Connor, sounds Irish, Sophie O'Connor, the head of the board of Scottish Widows Unit Trust Managers, said, this is a classic quote, investment decisions have contributed to further underperformance relative to the market. Investment decisions have contributed.
No shit.
No shit, Sophie.
Not
Anyway,
fees, yeah.
There we go. So it's interesting. It's all being sort of flushed out and developed. And, it is now obviously a regulatory expectation. It is coming to advisors as well. We're expected to begin to do these things ourselves and create these value assessments. But it's amazing that the funds groups are being kind of somewhat exposed. And the last part I'm going to say on this, somebody called me out in the past recently for saying, why do you mention these negative things? You should just be promoting the positive in our industry. And I don't agree with that. I think we are all trying to make this is all about better outcomes for our clients. And, there are parts of our industry which are not top performing. They're not great. They're not delivering great value for money for customers. But it's all kind of smoke and mirrors. And the very clients and customers that are using these products aren't aware. I mean, look at all the clicks and fund pages and scripts. No one is going to go to the trouble of identifying that. Just not going to do it.
It just goes back to that's just pointless regulation, really. Asking fund managers to rate themselves if you go down a rabbit hole that no one is ever going to read. So absolutely pointless regulation.
I know it's bad that they're hiding it away, but let's be honest, no one wants to find it. No Joe Public couldn't give a damn about this crap. Could not give a shit. Right?
But nevertheless, it's our regulator are there. No, but the regulator is there to. It's all about good outcomes for investors, for retail customers.
By 1,000 cuts. The
generating work for themselves.
Where do you draw the line? They're still growing. They're still charging. They're still underperforming, and then there'll be another regulation comes out that confirms they're still underperforming. Where's the end point to this? It's who knows.
And also, in an efficient market, half the people in it are going to underperform all the time, and that's just the way it goes.
Sure.
So, right. Awesome statement. I'll mention it because it happened. As far as I can tell, gents, and we'll quickly be on this one. I don't think there's much in it. There's some pension stuff coming in that makes it seems quite complicated. Pension simplification. I know it's a cliche, but that seems so long ago. But there's nothing else in the awesome statement really. I imagine all the big tax bungs will come in the spring budget as we've got an election looming sometime between now and January 2025. Okay. Oh yes, Alan, your latest magpie moment with AI, facial recognition.
Yeah, it's been a couple of episodes since I mentioned it, but yeah, this is what I'm going to say that parts of the AI revolution may have still work to do. I was contacted a little while ago by a company. I won't mention the name right now because it's a work in progress, to be fair. And what they've done, they've built an AI-enabled tool based on facial recognition. So if you put send a photograph, then it's
what's this got to do with financial planning, as you said to me last week when I was talking about something totally unrelated? I mean, some rubbish company does some rubbish service and you're talking about it. All right, fine.
It's to do with behavior.
Times.
You're such a clown. You really are. God. It's to do with it's built by it's a fintech company that's built it to help advisors give more focused advice to their clients based upon risk assessment, behavioral analytics, number of different things. It's spot on relevant for financial planners. However, the tool itself doesn't really work because I sent them the photograph of all of us actually. So I'll give you a couple of bits of feedback based on the photograph of Nick Lincoln. Nick comes in one of the top percentile for agreeableness. This individual likely excels in teamwork and collaboration. They're empathetic, cooperative, and tend to prioritize harmony in a group.
That's it. AI is broken. we can announce that now.
Broke AI.
Carl Widger, he comes at 0th percentile of extroversion.
Bullshit.
Of extroversion.
Lowest percentile in extroversion represents a strong inclination towards introversion. They're likely reserved, preferring solitary activities over social interactions and finding energy and focus in solitude. That's true.
Why do you giggle when you're reading that out, Alan?
Because I see you as quite extroverted.
Wrong on every point.
And on it goes. I mean, I won't even mention what it says about Andy Hart. It's actually probably accurate about Andy Hart, but there's still work to do on the AI-enabled tools to help financial planners.
Right, when they crack it and it's useful for financial advisors, maybe we'll revisit that point. But yeah, thank you.
Okay, so we all know the name. Well, you might not, Carl, but certainly the name Paul Lewis is in the UK financial journalism world. Yeah, okay, he's that big that he's gone over the Irish Sea. He's a massive figure, has been for decades in the UK. His Money Box show for the BBC, and just writing various columns and blogs for years and years and years. And he was interviewed recently in the Daily Mail, and there's a link to it in the so-called show notes, where he gave his investment philosophies. And why is this important? Well, this guy is massively influential. And the way he invests, I'm going to quickly quote from the article. The question was, do you invest directly in the stock market? And Mr. Lewis said, no, my pension is all in cash and has been for about a decade. I actively manage my cash. So every year I look where my cash is, find the best 1-year bond and move my cash there. Blah, 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 blah. There is no investment anywhere that will earn me 6.2%, which is what he says he's getting at the minute. I don't know where he gets that. I mean, he mentions the product in the interview, but I can't find it online. And my capital isn't at risk, Mr. Lewis is saying. Well, this is old canard, isn't it, of the understanding what the real risk is. Final paragraph. Many people have seen the value of their pensions fall by 20% in the past year. Well, only if they're all invested in long-dated gilts, but never mind. Mine hasn't. It's grown. People also worry about the impact of inflation on cash. No shit, Sherlock. But inflation affects the value of investments just as much as it impacts cash. Well, of course it does. No one ever said it didn't. But what you want are investments that can bloody knock inflation into a cocked hat and maybe return something over inflation. I did an analysis a few years ago and found that in the very long term, over 20 years, tracker funds will beat cash. There's a guarantee from Mr. Lewis. They will beat cash. But over shorter periods, they often won't. End quote. There's so much in there that's wrong. Tracker funds, we don't know if they'll beat cash over any period. We never get to say that. We can't guarantee it. Historically, they have done, and they may well do so going forward. But we never guarantee it. But we're not an advisor like Mr. Lewis, are we? And over shorter periods, you need to be in cash. Well, pension funds are invested for 30, 40, 50 years. You're going to pass them down to your children in the UK, and they're going to pass them down to their children, theoretically. What a load of rubbish. And this is a guy who is extremely influential. So whenever he pens a piece, you've got to understand where people are coming from and the context of their minds when they write stuff and when they put content out. And you can just see there. He also slags off buy-to-let investors, not because property is a bad investment, but because you're keeping people away from owning property and, people having to work half the week to put money in your pocket as a buy-to-let landlord. How can you live with that? So, yeah. Any views on that? Should we move on?
I think it's impressive that you were able to review every single sentence that he made, not just the article in total. So you found error in each sentence. Yeah, load of absolute rubbish. And it is disconcerting when you see people who are, as you say, influential. I mean, that's the age of social media, isn't it? Some people who are, inverted commas, influential say crazy things, and then that seems to be the standard or the norm. It's, our work is not yet done.
He is a huge consumer champion in the UK. So he has done a lot of good work just to sort of balance him out as a person. But his article is obviously confirming he's an investing illiterate, which is great. I love it when people publicly confirm they're an investing illiterate. I'm sort of all for that. But back to you, boss.
Yeah, and there must be thousands and thousands of customers and sort of DIY, no help investors who will follow him and follow exactly that and sit in cash.
Maybe that's
30 years of investment. That's the point of
assumption. That's an assumption. That's an assumption.
Yeah, it is. But I think that's a decent assumption to make. And yes, he comes from a good place. I have no doubt about that. But just to be so catastrophically wrong about something so important. Okay, I don't know who put this in the so-called show notes because I haven't initial dip. OpenSea NFT platform.
I put it in. There's just a point of. Back to the story of investing what's always worked. There's no doubt that digital content, digital art, there is some sort of future. But as you remember, a couple of years ago, certain people piled into the concept of NFTs. OpenSea is the biggest platform by far for these digital arts. What was one sold for? $64 million. Remember Beeple a couple of years ago?
Yeah,
and it was loads and loads of stuff. I mean, it was just something that was on the down at 99%. In other words, close to worthless. And people have, it's from the sublime to the ridiculous. You've got Paul Lewis saying just put it in completely in cash. And you've got others who are investing their savings in things like NFTs, for example, both are suboptimal outcomes, shall we say. So another reminder to stick to what's always worked.
I could never get my head around that NFT thing and the digital art. And you just made a comment there, Alan. You think there is some kind of a future for digital art? Like,
Well, I'll give just a very, very simple example. And you've got your kids. I don't know if these online games, for example, Fortnite and others. People actually pay real money, like £1, $1.99 or whatever, to buy things which don't really exist in the real world. That's a very, very simplistic example of owning something. It is not unreasonable to own something in a digital environment that doesn't necessarily exist also in the physical environment. There's something within that, and the ownership of these things. But people
they're using them in a digital, so they're buying guns and stuff. Is that what you're saying in the game? And but like to buy digital art, what's
the difference? If I own something, one of these crypto punks or monkeys or whatever they were. There's something attached to that, but there certainly was never worth, to my mind, because the idea is you can create unlimited. There's only so many paintings that Van Gogh could paint or whoever, but use an unlimited number of these things. But the point
wasn't there some idiot who was shredding online his paintings because he was selling them by NFTs or something as well?
There was a lot of crazy stuff is going on.
That's the Darwin Award. The Darwin Award for 2023. Isn't it? Yeah. Okay, Wodge, the Metis Christmas party.
Yes. So we're recording this before Thursday, but on Thursday when this goes out, the Metis team gathers in Dublin for our annual Christmas party. Now, what we decided to do this year was to try and give back via our Christmas party. So we've taken 2 tables at the Cleaners Foundation Christmas Ball. So all of the money that we've paid for our 2 tables is going to Cleaners Foundation, which is a charity to help families who have very sick kids. So it's a great charity. I've probably spoken here about them before. I support them an awful lot. I think they do unbelievable and kind of in the background work. So it's probably too late to bring it up this year, but maybe it's an idea. Is there a way of supporting a charity via your Christmas party? It's not to say we're not going to have a load of drinks and have a great time and probably have a load too many drinks and all that. We're still going to do our Christmas party. But instead of, just putting the money somewhere else, we're giving it to a charity. So,
and they'll also see that I was deeply uncomfortable with the content of some of today's podcast, owing to the Irish versus UK cultural differences. However, I do not think that the cultural differences between Ireland and the UK are so great that the people in the UK would also like to support some charities around Christmas time. Hence, I brought it up. But anyway,
I think that makes a lot of sense. I think it's a great idea, Carl, because the day when this podcast comes out, my team and I will be indulging in cocktail making. We're all going in some organization that teaches you how to make all these weird and wonderful alcoholic and non-alcoholic cocktails. So we're going to have a lot of fun doing that. And then we're going for lunch and dinner or whatever we're doing, getting the team together. But it's a nice idea to go and do that somewhere where it's supporting people who haven't had quite such a good time in recent months or years. So good shout, Carl. Well done.
Thank you.
Yeah, good stuff. And sticking with you, Voice, Central Bank Roadshow. This sounds incredibly exciting.
Well, to give them credit, the Central Bank of Ireland do a roadshow every year, and they go to Dublin and then another venue outside of Dublin. And it's to kind of give the intermediaries, IFAs, as you guys know them, a feel for what has gone on and what is coming down the line. So to be fair, it's good to kind of get to know them a little bit more. And, the central bank can be this like scary thing in the background. But to get to know them is definitely a good thing. So well done to them for doing it. However, there are 2 big things which I've spoken about a lot. Number one,
are we going to introduce an RDR type arrangement, so a ban on commissions? In his opening remarks, he said, spoiler alert, we haven't any plans to have a ban on commissions. So straight off, I'm like, oh, Jesus, come on. So that's a little bit, more than a little bit disappointing. Meta's is 10 years old next year. And 10 years ago, I set up models for Metas to be ready for RDR in Ireland. And 10 years later, it's still not even on the agenda. So that's a little bit disappointing for me, to be honest. And then the second thing was that I've been going on about a good bit is brokers, intermediaries, IFAs, whatever you want to call them, selling unregulated products. So loan notes and solar, we've spoken about solar, that kind of stuff. And they just reiterated that you need to be very careful if you're selling unregulated products, that you need to do this, that, and the other, right? Which is, you can't put it on your headed paper where you say that you're regulated by the central bank because the consumer protections don't apply, et cetera, et cetera. But we knew all that. Well, at least we know all of that. I'm assuming the people who are selling unregulated products already know this. So to reaffirm it was a little bit disappointing. But to be fair to them, other than them banning it, reaffirming it was probably the next best thing. Apparently, now this was not said by the central bank, but apparently there's some legal issues around why they can't ban it. That's anecdotally was said to me, so I'm not sure if that's the case. So look, I was a little bit disappointed with the, I suppose with the outcome of the meeting, albeit I would say, yeah, central bank, well done for doing it. It is good to do it, but I just love more. Let's get on with the big stuff here. Let's get on with the stuff that's actually going to really help the consumers, rather than putting regulation in place that you can't really manage or monitor properly.
You are
if they're
so
saying
in
that
the
they're
vanguard
not going
what you're doing.
to do any
So
movement towards banning commission, then you're years away from it. That sounds like they're not even they don't even have it on the project list. So that might be just the state of play that you've got to work within, which obviously you are doing and everybody is working within. But yeah, somewhat disappointing, I'm sure.
100%, I agree with Jandy. Yeah, it's not going to come anytime soon.
Has Ireland, Carl, historically followed the UK somewhat? I've heard the UK regulatory system is followed by a lot around the world. It's considered a leading environment for regulation and consumer protection and all that sort of stuff. Have they in the past followed? I mean, do you have any other versions of the structures that we've got in the independence model and qualification levels? And
yeah, we have there are some things that are more stringent here. One of them being, for example, your accounts every year. You guys don't have to publish your accounts. We have to publish our accounts, which I think is good because it stops people bullshitting saying that they're doing so great and whatever, right? So I think that's actually quite good. In terms of writing your recommendation letters, not being calling yourself independent if you're not looking at the whole market. It's come on in absolute leaps and bounds since the financial crisis, no doubt about that. But it's at the same time, it's there's just some things that I think if we're everything has to be around the consumer here, and look, I met an accountant, managing partner of a pretty large accountancy practice within the last 2 weeks. And he made one statement to me and it just rang so true. He said, why does every financial advisor I know drive a Range Rover? And that comment's probably going to piss a whole load of people off. But the reason is that there's very high commissions still being paid out. And people are churning pension funds from one provider to the next. And the providers have to stand up and answer this question. Why are you pissed off when business leaves you and then you'll leak it out that the persistency rate for XYZ brokerage is very poor? On the same time, ABC brokerage will approach you and say, can you give me a deal of a load of business I'm going to transfer from the other provider over there? So you can't talk out of both sides of your mouth. It has to be, good on both sides. And, one thing that I've often said is, failing that we're not going to bring in RDR. What about banning commissions on pension transfers because you've got paid originally when the money came in. So just ban it. I'm sure the providers would love that because they don't have to pay out any commissions. But it stops exit penalties. It stops all of that kind of stuff. Now, someone mentioned pension simplification. We are heading for pension simplification, although it's very complex while we're on the road to get there, right?
Yeah,
but we will get there.
Yeah, we've got it, and it's not very simple, I can tell you.
Well, it is going to be much simpler here. And I do think our pensions system is really, really good. And like pension freedoms that you guys brought in, we had them for probably 10, 15 years before you guys. So there has been some really good stuff on the pension freedoms. Now, in PRSAs, you know, there's limits in what you can charge and blah, blah, blah. But at the same time, because the market is entirely headed down the PRSA route, all of the companies, all of the providers now are coming out with loads of different versions. So we'll get, I think we got from one provider 48 different commission models on their PRSAs. So they have got approved by the Pensions Authority. Yeah, it's bullshit. And it's basically, why do you have 48 models? 48 different ways of paying brokers. Anyway, I'm going to get, this was not on my agenda to talk about today. Okay. I'm going to get strung up about this, but I feel very passionately that there are things we should be doing in our business, in our profession, if we want to make it a profession and not an industry, in our profession to help consumers, to help the end user, the clients. That's my view.
If that's your honest opinion, mate, share it. You know, it's totally right what you're doing. Yeah. So, yeah.
We're trying to make the idea of making a positive impact in the lives of the families we look after and giving them sort of a sense of, peace of mind and security, all those things. And just churning pensions from product A to product B to product C doesn't do that. That is designed primarily for the person who earns the commission. It's not making a big impact whatsoever in the life of the customer. And the challenge is that then, like your accountant guy said, the reputation of advisors doesn't get better, doesn't get strong. You want to have a situation where people just love the relationship they've got with a financial planner because they're just adding value all day long. And I think it's a sort of mutually beneficial project if we can enhance and improve these things, because it raises the whole industry, the whole sector, the whole profession becomes something that people are proud to talk about, as opposed to we're just churning policies around, which is not.
But not everyone agrees with the stance I'm taking. Even the some of my peers, as I would call them, who do real financial planning, have said exactly what you said earlier. Carl, should we not talk just a little bit more about what the good we do as opposed to calling out bad practice? And I can't seem to help myself because I didn't want to talk about this at all today. But look, I passionately believe it. So there you go. That's my opinion.
Okay.
Take it or leave it.
And Carl will be invited back to the newly formed Irish Ideas Exchange.
Yeah. It'd be like Steve Jobs getting kicked out of Apple.
He's been blackballed already.
Just a quick show of hands. So in Ireland,
don't refer yourself to Steve Jobs, Carl. That will go down badly as well.
Loss, which is great. Alan, Andy, hands up. Would you prefer that all limited companies had to publish full profit and loss? I certainly think that's a good thing.
I'm neutral on it. There's positives and negatives. So companies, it's you've got to. You mean every company, not just financial services?
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
No, I mean, I wouldn't mind neutral. It would provide us with a lot of interesting information. I don't mind.
I mean, somebody's gone through thousands and thousands of different accounts.
If a firm's bona fide or not, you'd like to see their turnover, wouldn't you? It would just help, wouldn't it? I don't know. Anyway, incidental. Okay, Mr. Smith, JP Morgan retirement report.
Just a quick one. This is an update for the audience and the listeners. As we know, JP Morgan produced some high quality information, data reports to do their quarterly market review, which we have mentioned on here in the past. There's just a new one that they have, was certainly new to me. I hadn't seen it before, the JP Morgan retirement report. It is US based, but there's a lot of information in there which is highly relevant to the UK, though. We talk about longevity, life expectancy, how long the period of life you're reasonably expected to sustain your income for. And there's just, if you're a sort of a data or information geek, there's loads in there, but it's actually relevant to the advice process and actually potentially with clients. I mean, even like the likes of, back to Paul Lewis and his cash account, if you've got 30, in some cases 40 years of requiring, inflation adjusted sustainable income, then all these other things are not going to support it. So I'll put a link to it in the show notes. JP Morgan retirement report, worth a browse, I would say.
It is. It's absolutely brilliant. Yeah, there's a couple of highlights in it. Page 21, it says about the long-term savings rate for the US. I think the US at the moment, in terms of gross income savings, are about 7.8%. That's generally a little bit higher than it's been sort of historically. It's full of data. You're right. You can just scroll through it. You can spend 10 minutes going through it or 3 hours. But I think they publish it annually, don't they, Alan?
Yeah, I think so.
The guide to the markets is every quarter. So yeah, it's a superb resource. So check it out if you're a financial advisor.
Well, I can sleep tight now knowing that the Americans save at a rate of 7.8 of their gross income. Okay, we had a lunch yesterday with a bit of an industry, and I say industry because this man was from a time when it was industrial. Alan, talk us through our lunch.
Yeah, the UK-based
Alan's
members
mentor
of the trap. But he's my mentor. So we had lunch with a gentleman. I'll name him. He's called John Joseph, and he's in his 70s now. I guess he's retired, semi-retired. He says he's only brought into the office. Yeah, he brought into the office now. His son, Jimmy, who's an outstanding character and great financial planner, is effectively taking over the business. John gets wheeled in now and again. He mentioned yesterday just to entertain the clients, he says, because he's a bit of a joke teller, bantsmeister. But it was just lovely. I just wanted to take the time to specifically kind of honor him in a way, because when I was first getting into it, certainly when I first became an IFA and I moved from the sort of corporate background into the IFA, he was superbly supportive of me. And I think they just want to take the time. This is a sector, this is a profession where we do kind of help and support each other. And I just think it's incumbent. That's part of the reasons why we do this Real Advisor podcast, because the four of us are reasonably long in the tooth. We've been at the game a long time. We're kind of passing on the wisdom, because John did that to me superbly for many, many years. It was a little bit of a trip down memory lane for me, because we met up in northwest London, and I was getting the train up there, and I was just stopping at every little town that I used to drive around in my day with the
wheelbarrow.
Oh, here we go.
Alperton, whoa, Alperton. I can see my wheelbarrow filling with props signed by the weak and willing.
So good.
I was 21 when I owned Alperton.
That has got to be your best drop. I love it. I like this song. Anyway, just so anyone doesn't know, Alperton is one of those small towns and small sort of areas in northwest London where I used to drive my wheelbarrow up, and a bunch of advisors, brokers as they were then, and accountants and so on, and collect the good old endowment policies from those advisors. So I hadn't been up there for a while, so it was lovely to get the train up there and then go for a nice lunch with John Joseph and these two other Muppets as well. We had a good afternoon, I can say. Thank you, Nick.
Great stuff. It was highly enjoyable, and he is a highly enjoyable character. Okay, just closing off the topical tidbits, because we're coming into quite a long time into the recording already. We have, now bear with us on this, we have actually got a website now, the realadvisorpodcast.com. Okay, the realadvisorpodcast.com. It's very basic at the moment. It's just a landing page, but the reason we've set it up is we're going to have a live event next year, May the 9th. We're trying to work out where the hell it's going to be. It's going to be in London, okay? If this is a hit, we might go out to the provinces, but this will be in London, late afternoon, early evening. If you're interested and you want to register your interest in attending, please go to the realadvisorpodcast.com and just give your name and email address. So we just at least captured that, and then we can later on come out with details. We're trying to find a location. Even that's a pain in the arse already. So that it will be a paid-for event. We'll need to work out what the costings are going to be and what the venue hire is before we can confirm that. But you will be shelling out for this. But hopefully you'll agree that you're going to get value from it the same way you got lots of value from us for nothing over the previous 33 episodes. So there we go on that one. That's channeling my inner voice there. My inner voice.
Lick's all about the money.
Is the website any good? I actually haven't looked at it yet.
No, it's basic. It's extremely basic. But Carl, I'll have a look at yours when we're done. Okay. So
you can knock one up this afternoon, Carl.
We'll compare and contrast.
It's good enough, Nick. It's good enough.
It's good, exactly.
Yeah, it's great, Nick.
Perfection is the enemy, my friends. Perfection is the enemy. Okay, let's now move on to what many people call the meat and potatoes of the show. So episode 33 was the first of 3 episodes that we're going to do on a kind of marketing theme. The first of those 3, episode 33, was revolutionize your referrals, the referral strategies, what works, what doesn't work, why are referrals important. This one is about centers of influence, another marketing leg of this three-legged stool. And Mr. Smith is going to lead us off on this. And the potatoes have stopped being, the peeling is over, Alan, so you can rest easy and crack on.
Thank you. Thanks, Nick. Another huge subject, complex. Some people are successful, some are less so. What I know is over the years, the firms I know that are really smashing it, are doing well, are growing fast, are excellent. They've all got high quality relationships. We call them centers of influence, but third party professional partnerships. There might be accountants, could be legal firms, it could be corporate finance teams, anything like that. But there's a collaborative relationship they have where there's potential for clients to be referred back and forward. It tends to work pretty well. So it's for all the positive signs, it nevertheless remains a tough nut to crack and actually to make this work. And again, full disclosure, we're far from perfect at it ourselves, but we have sort of worked out a system. And I think referring back to things we've talked about in the past, what's the saying? It's a James Clear one. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. And a recommendation that I've had in order to develop this and try to make this work in an advisory business, here's what I suggest people do. Starting off with new clients, taking on a new client, we all do a standard, what used to be called a fact find process. We do a discovery meeting. And we ask them all the information that we need to know in order to build financial models and financial plans and deliver advice. But one of the questions, and the more kind of just detail-based things, is do you have any relationships with professional advisors currently? Do you have an accountant? Do you have a lawyer? Do you have any number of other people that are currently supporting you? So we take the information. Often our clients, many of whom are business owners, will say, yeah, I've got an accountant. And we'll say, we'll ask, what's your relationship like? And because I said, we're always looking for, opportunities to work collaboratively with other professionals. And often they'll say either, oh, he's great, my accountant is brilliant, love him, he's excellent. And we say, great, in due course, it'd be nice for you could introduce us. Occasionally they say, actually, not very good, or he's about to retire, or she's about to retire. And we say, noted, we've got a network of highly, excellent professionals that we could, if appropriate, refer you to in due course, which is a good thing to do. Point being, you carry on, do the normal process, you bring the client on board, you start working with them, and then you complete the circle. Now that you've got the information, it's important then your system should be that one of the first things you do once the client's onboarded is you reach out to that. In this case, an accountant is this is the most common approach. You reach out to them, you send them an email, and the guaranteed way of them opening the email is the title of the email is "We have a mutual client," and they'll definitely open that email. And what you're saying, and of course, with you seeking the permission from the client in the first place. Once we do this, we'll be okay to introduce, and I should go and join your accountant to make sure that the advice is all joined up, that there's no kind of duplication, and he knows what we're doing. With the client's permission, we will then show them the financial plan, and back to the point about how many advisors, even in the UK, are delivering high quality, documented, cash flow based financial plans. Still very few. So I found you go and have a conversation, have a meeting, have a cup of coffee with the accountancy in this case. They're blown away. They're saying, wow, I didn't. And some of these are organizations, sometimes they've got an in-house IFA, and they say, I didn't know you did this sort of quality of work. And we were just effectively at that stage, we've opened the door. We've got a fact finder, sort of a questionnaire that we ask the accountant. It's important for us to know. We ask them,
Grab yourself a drink, a very long drink. It's story time with Alan Smith.
The funniest thing is the look of annoyance that goes over your face every time I do it.
Really? That's not. It's good. But it's good. It's good food. Just to make Andy Hart happy. The only thing I say, Scottish. Look, the point here, if you have a system, you automatically, for example, every time you take on an existing new client, you reach out to this and you go and you ask them a number of questions about their business, what they're trying to achieve. Do they specialize in anything? Because we are genuinely, occasionally, have a need to refer to high quality third-party professionals like accountants, for example. So we've opened the door then, and we are then, the other thing to do is we'll just then, and we're just sort of creating this now, we'll just have a nurture campaign. We want to just send a high quality newsletter type email to this group of centers of influence that we've already got something of a relationship with, just to keep drip feeding, updating new pension legislation, whatever it might be that's specifically relevant to their profession, so we remain front of mind. That's for new clients. And the quick win here is all of us with existing client banks, if you're looking to develop professional relationships with centers of influence, first of all, if you look at all your clients, do you have all their, if they've got accountants, do you have all the names of their accountants listed side by side on your CRM system or on your documentation about your clients? And are you in contact with them regularly? Because if you've got these relationships, we know who they are, we should be speaking to them on a regular basis. So I'm just talking about creating a very simplistic system, which I promise you, if you do this and you've opened the doors, and especially if you've met and you've opened a relationship and you showed the quality of your work and you drip feed some information, we're not going in there and say, by the way, do you have any clients you can refer us to? Of course, we're not doing that. But we're effectively going back to that old magical thing, show your work. In my experience, you move away from this, you're the IFA guys, you sell pensions and things, to saying, no, we work collaboratively we can work collaboratively with the account, particularly for the business owners, because they've got a cash flow often built within the business. They've got the P&L, they've got all this stuff worked out. And if we're applying that to the family in collaboration with the sort of business owner, it can be a really nice way of delivering, and ultimately for the benefit of the client. And then you have the opportunity for further referrals. And of course, it works great if we've got the opportunity to refer clients into accountants, lawyers, or whoever else. So that's my starter for 10. Who else wants to share?
Do you want me to go? I wrote a couple of points. This is really big for us in Metis. We've been reasonably successful, I would say. So there's a couple of key things that we do. Number one, we have case studies written. So case studies on the types of clients, business owners, or estate planning. So we've blogs written so that if we're talking to someone who may be a center of influence, we can send a link. Here's something we've written before. And that might be from, if we're trying to make those as evergreen as possible. So I think that is absolutely key, because very, very quickly after conversation, you go, hey, enjoyed our chat. Here's a case study that we've already done. So you're not like in the background trying to, let's do a case study or whatever. So have those ready. They'll help you anyway in terms of, having on your website and that kind of stuff. So I can't see how everybody wouldn't have some case studies on their website. Ours are there for everyone to see. So you can go and have a look at ours. I would say that every advisor, every client-facing advisor, private client managers, we call them, should have no more than 3. So 2 to 3 centers of influence. So don't try and spread yourself too thin, because you won't be able to give kind of dedicated service and the good feels and the good vibes to more than that. So try and limit yourself to identifying, maybe 4 or 5, and then trying to actually get to do some work with 2 or 3. We've often gone in and done a plan for the managing partner of an accountancy practice. We're in the middle of doing that for a very big accountancy practice. We're doing plans for the partners. That's, we said, we'll just let us just show you exactly what we do. We'll take you individually and we'll bring you through the planning process. Like start to finish, like we're going to do business, and there's no pressure. If you have other relationships built up, that's absolutely fine. You do not have to do any business with us. But this is a great way for us to, as you say, Alan, to actually show our work. We've often done, now this can be tricky with new clients, right? But it is a good thing to do because it does build trust, is invite the client to invite their accountant to the Metis Life Plan meeting, which is our financial planning meeting. Now, it can stunt though the goals, dreams, and aspirations talk, because clients, in our experience, tend not to want to have those discussions in front of their accountant because they're private and they're, Sure. So what we've tended to do is, let's do the Metis Life Plan meeting as we are with the husband and with the wife, and before we go implement, let's do it again to make sure you're comfortable, and let's bring your accountant in. And this is very valid, right? We don't want to be going off doing the perfect example. Let's absolutely load up your pension fund to 2 million quid when the accountant is thinking in his head, hold on, we need £1 million in the business for entrepreneur leave. So, it's totally valid to say we need your tax advisor at the meeting before we go and implement all of this to make sure that a tax strategy he's been working on for 10 years, that we're not going to screw the whole thing up, so that all the really important people are talking to each other. So that's worked really, really well for us. Now, I'm not talking about doing hundreds of these, by the way. Like, if everybody is looking to get 2 or 3 centers of influence, you might have 1 or 2 or 3 of these meetings a year. That's it. But we started this process with a few clients 5 or 6 years ago, and now the accountant tax advisor comes to every single meeting. So it's a bit of a faff trying to organize your diary for a couple and then their tax advisor. But it really works because the clients, right, go back to the who matters here. The clients feel like, wow, I've got great people around me here. I've 2 other things, Nick, but if you want to jump in there, the 2 others are very quick.
You crack on, matey. Thank you.
Okay, just the 2 others are events, and particularly for us, golf. So bringing people like to go to nice places, right? Let's call a spade a spade. So we've been used.
That's the insight. That's the insight our Trappists expect from you, Carl. That's
yeah, but like it's like don't overlook this simple wins.
Yeah.
So we're members in Mount Juliet, so we bring people to Mount Juliet, which is a lovely golf course in southeast of Ireland, and that's been very effective for us. I would say, and one of my colleagues is different on this, but I never ever talk about work on a golf course, ever. Just have a bit of fun, have a bit of crack, and then I'll follow up with an email. Hey, can we have a coffee and maybe talk about a business? And then I mentioned when we're talking about client referrals in the last episode about little things, small things work, so that was buying gifts or whatever, right? Way back, this is possibly a little bit cringe, right? But personal tax deadline, middle of November, and accountants are all working till 8 or 9 o'clock at night. We ordered a load of pizzas and we sent them around to an accountant's office.
Brilliant.
And they loved it. And they loved it.
Brilliant.
And we still do business with them. So there you go. So look, they're just a couple of ideas, and I've kind of flown through all of them because, people will take... Some of them will be great for people and some of them will be absolute rubbish. So there you go. That's my take on Centre of Influence.
Thank you for that. Thank you. Thanks, Anna, for your contribution as well. But if people do bring up work on the golf course, Carl, will you then engage with them, or do you try and steer it away to keep it light touch? But if people bring it, the clients or the prospects bring it into the conversation, what do you do?
I tend to steer it away because what do most accountants think of the financial advisor industry is that, what's the best pension fund out there? Or would you buy Apple shares now?
Yeah,
They're the questions I get asked. Nobody asks me about real financial planning. So I kind of... I don't dismiss that like I know some of you might, right, in terms of that's not what we do, right? I just go, look, there's an awful lot more to what we do. And actually, that's kind of the end of the process is investment strategies. And we do have an investment philosophy. Happy to share that with you. But it's really holistic financial planning, which is why we'd love to talk to you and your best clients. And then at that stage, I would, and I have brought up... happy to do a plan so you know exactly actually what we do. We could do it for you, or we could do it for your best client, but take the best client's name out. So we're just working on a bunch of data. You fill it in and put in Joe blogs and Mary blogs, and we'll do the plan for them and show you. So that's been effective as well.
It's quite funny on that, just in general, Carl, when people say, as no doubt they do to all of us, so people ask, especially with the holiday season coming up, and you're meeting up with friends and family and stuff, and they'll ask you questions like, what do you think the markets are going to do next year? And the disappointment that you say, I have no idea. And if you say that to them, which you generally do, they just sort of, the look, their little faces is, why have you I thought you were in finance as sort of general.
We should change our reply, shouldn't we? We should say like 36%. And they're like, what? Yeah. Like, super interested. When we go, we've got no idea. We say 36.5% probably next year. They're like,
I think there's a slightly better way of answering it, which is, I don't know what it's going to do next year, but I can tell you over the next 10 years it's going to go up.
Yeah, but they don't want to know that. They want to know, should I buy Apple? Should I sell Amazon? Should I do this or that? That's the thing. And navigating your way around that without just it being dull, which is what the answer is, which is I don't know, but I believe over the longer term it will go up. It's not what people want. What should I do?
Let me tell you why I think smaller companies will outperform. I have changed though. When people say, "What do you do?" Right, so I used to go financial planner. We do real financial plans. So now I say we're a financial planning firm and a wealth management firm. So because I don't want to automatically preclude myself from potential business. So that's
a whole other subject. And I agree with you. It's meeting the client, potential client, or where their mind is. If you say
investment advisor,
financial life planner, I mean, I can tell I'll hold this story. I'll hold a story for another time when I did exactly that in a big networking meeting, and everyone thought it was a life coach, basically.
Yeah,
financial life planner.
That's what you are, isn't it?
Sort of, yeah.
Right, Andy, get a word in.
I'm going to be talking about classic networking in a second. Just on your point, Carl, about 2 to 3 centres of influence. Like, yes, that's correct if the 2 or 3 are really good. But I think in your early stages, it's more a case of kissing a few more frogs to then isolate those 2 to 3 and then really work on them. Does that make sense? But it was in the early stages of building your career as a lawyer, as an accountant, as a financial advisor, you spread yourself quite thin and try and speak to as many different people.
Sure.
And then
you would do that. You're trying to spread yourself quite thin. And just the law of averages means you will hopefully over time, you'll only hit it off with 2 or 3. There'll be a rapport, there'll be build, there'll be mutual. Yeah. And it's those
2 or
ones
3
that you
good
focus
ones
on.
Is great.
What is I think is dangerous, can be a waste of time, is trying to meet every single accountant you can do, is sort of meet, times over the years, meet for coffee, meet for lunch, and it's just, you spread too thin. Meet them initially when you take them on board a new client or if you're currently working with them, and then have content, share with that, and you'll find inevitably, but you're right, in terms of ongoing relationships, 2 or 3 would be great.
So what I'm going to talk about, centres of influence, is I was a member of BNI for 5 years when I was a polyester-wearing mortgage broker, slightly spelling of desperation, as Nick Lincoln once famously described me. So I joined BNI.
Nothing much has changed then.
Nothing much has changed.
You haven't got the polyester suit, though, to be fair.
No polyester suit. Cool blazer now, smelling of a slight desperation. So I joined BNI for 5 years, and it's a structured network organisation. So sometimes I sort of sound like I've done nowhere networking in the past. I've done all the classic stuff, and then I've done all the sort of modern stuff. You're going to play the fucking drop, aren't you, Nick? And then some of the modern stuff in terms of podcasts. So just focus on BNI. So I was part of member of BNI for 5 years. Long story short, it's a group of business owners in a room, and one profession is represented per one seat. So there's only allowed one financial advisor, one accountant, one painter, one decorator, one plumber, etc. And it does teach you, the rules of networking. So BNI stands for Business Networking International, I think. And there's all different roles within the chapter. It's a well-organised club. I sort of call it the sort of McDonald's of networking. It's a very well-organised and sort of global organisation. I know a lot of financial advisors are currently still members, people we know well in this group. And I know some younger advisors do join BNI. If you are thinking about or on the fence of joining BNI, and you know what BNI is and you can find a local chapter, I'd say join it. It really did accelerate my career. I'm still in contact with a lot of the people that I met in those early days, mortgage brokers, random professions, consultants, coaches, and it was really good. And then obviously I had enough clients to then sort of leave it. It is quite a relentless group. It's weekly. And famously, they meet very early in the morning. Luckily, mine was a lunch group, so we met every Tuesday lunch. But it's relentless. Weekly, it's relentless, and you have to provide leads and referrals for all the other people in the room. So you become a lot more of a referrer yourself. So you're having a pint with your brother or your friend or your mum, dad, and they mention something, and immediately say, "What do you mean you need to get your bathroom redecorated?" I know Tony. Whereas before you just sitting there going, "Yeah, get your bathroom done, whatever." Whereas you become a lot more attuned to opportunities out there. And again, it tells you how to properly refer people. There's loads of good stuff for BNI. I could talk about it for a long time. Again, it's one of those things that's sort of got a bit of a bad rap. Maybe if someone's joined a chapter, not committed to it, and then left and just thought it's rubbish. Whereas I know lots of people. You got to commit. Yeah, lots of people commit in it and they get great success out of it. So do check it out. Certainly if you're a mortgage broker or something like that, listen to this, or or whatever. So that's my B&I stuff. That's traditional centers of influence. So now I've got various different centers of influence. I don't quite know where they've come from. As I say, I've got a few accountants I look after as clients on my own. They refer these fucking play drop, isn't it? They refer to me. A lot of other financial advisors refer to me. Anyway, that's it.
Shall I just sing it? Andy, the ultra crepidarian.
Nick, just play it.
Just shoehorned it in there, mate.
The ultra crepidarian Andy. He knows about everything, Andy. Can't be told anything. His name is Andrew Hart. Andrew Hart.
Can I just say on the drops, can we do a Twitter poll? Do you love them or do you hate them? Because I got a lot of feedback.
They're staying. They are staying.
People are not fans of the drops.
Really?
So
all I hear is positive feedback from the drops.
Yeah, because you're in the echo chamber. Anyway,
turn the radio off if you don't like it. Turn the radio off.
Exactly.
Centers of influence. Accountants, love accountants. I would highly recommend that accountants are preferable to solicitors, unless you want to get involved in estate planning and will writing and everything else. But God knows why you'd want to do that unless you've got some sort of death wish. Yeah, and again, my hobby horse is limited company husband and wife firms. They are so ripe to introduce you to the accountant. You're going to have interaction with the accountant anyway, asking for tax returns and full profit and loss because you can't get them online, as we discussed earlier. And bring them into it because they cash flow. Accountants are obviously numerate. They're number driven. They do cash flow modelling for their limited company clients, and we do the cash flow modelling for the owners of the limited company clients. There's such an overused word, but there's such a synergy there. It's automatic. So I've got a fantastic accountant in Berkhamsted, Angela. She's to the right of me politically, so very moderate. She's a great accountant, and she's introduced limited company clients to me, husbands and wives. And Angela sits in on the annual planning meetings. And it's great. It just helps. And everyone's reputation gets reinforced because I'm doing good work for her clients and she's doing good work for her clients. And we're both bouncing ideas off each other in front of the clients in terms of pensions and everything else. And it works. And I think this is just the start of the Zoom revolution. I think we all think we've mastered Zoom and we've incorporated it into our business life. And I know, Carl, you're probably edging away from this a little bit, but having an accountant sit in on a client annual planning meeting, once you've done the goals and aspirations part, you might then say to the client, well, you come, you said, then you bring the accountant into the Zoom meeting. They haven't got to travel anywhere. They can sit in for the 20 minutes where you're talking about the corporation tax planning ideas and then maybe the death in service and everything else, and then they can just drop out again. Haven't left their offices. So I don't see why you wouldn't get them in. And while they're in the meeting, it's your chance to impress them and to show them the cash flow. Remind them, because we do this every day with our clients. The clients only see it once a year, twice a year, what have you. The accountant's only going to see it once a year, twice a year. But if you bring them in and just remind them, this is what we do for people. It's ends based. We're looking to help them walk away from their business on a valuation figure that you, Mr. or Mrs. Accountant, are going to agree on. And there's so much overlap. And I do think accountants are really, and you've got to kiss a lot of frogs, right? A lot of accountants won't get it and don't care. Fine. Just, have an abundance mentality. If you can get 3 or 4 accountants on your side, they will love you and they'll refer clients to you because it enhances their reputation because they know you're going to do a good job. So that's the centre of influence that I would. That's what I do work on. And if I started from scratch, I would really, and I've given in the previous episode that in quotes ultra crepidarial masterclass on how to niche down and find a certain segment. So it was about limited company.
Is that accountant in Berkhamsted that you mentioned? That accountant in Berkhamsted, is she a client of yours, like an actual client of yours?
No, she's not. No, she's not.
Do you know the theme I think one of the themes that's run throughout what we've all said is having the ability to demonstrate what we do, because it's very experiential, isn't it? Financial planning in real life and collaboratively in a room or on a Zoom or whatever, and showing the model and the what if scenarios. What if you sold your business? What if you retired? What if you did all these different things? You can tell someone all day long and they kind of eyes glaze over and they go, yeah, whatever. Yeah, fine. But you're actually in the room and they're asking questions and everyone's involved. And then, and I've been there before, and the accountant in this case, the penny drops. You go, shit, actually, this is really good. I've got a few other people I should probably introduce you to talk about this because I didn't really understand. So I think that's one of the key messages. Use every opportunity you can to demonstrate. And as Carl has done, if you say we're happy to run it for yourself, if you like. And presumably, Carl, you wouldn't charge them for that. You just want to, it's more of a kind of show and tell. Want to just show what it's like. And it's nothing is more impactful than your own circumstances. You can do demo, Mr. Mr. and Mrs. A or B or something, but you actually say, let's give at least at a headline level, let's put some numbers in it, let's model a few things, and then they get it. Penny drops, sinks in, and say, yeah, this can be very, very helpful to other clients. So I think that's the key message. Try to look for the opportunity to actually show what we do.
Yeah. Agree.
Just on the point of accountants, isn't it a bit mind-blowing how amazingly attractive pensions are, and they're still reactive with their clients? It's like, wouldn't you say, look, you paid a shed load of tax here, shed load of tax there. I wouldn't do any of that. Like, I don't know the exact answer, but please go and speak to a financial planner that I know really well. It's mind-blowing. They're losing their clients tens of thousands of pounds every year. They could earn their fee in a good referral to an advisor. It's ridiculous how unproactive most accountants are. When you and the client propose this to the client, when you and the client proposes to the accountant, they'll say, yeah, you can do that. It's a great idea. You save this, you save that. And you think, are you freaking mad? Why have you not been on the front foot with this?
Fricking.
Anyway,
that's better. Fricking.
Blows
fricking,
my mind. Back to you, Nick. Sorry.
Harking back to the revolutionise your referrals, the previous episode, I had husband and wife, limited company owners, blah, 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 referred to me by a client recently. Lovely people, down to earth. They've got £1 million in their business, give or take, and they haven't made any pension contributions over the last 10, 15 years. And it's like...
The accountant is responsible for that.
I'm treading carefully here because I want to make...
The accountant is responsible for that.
I want to have a relationship with the accountant.
The accountant should be taken to task on that.
Well, maybe he brought it up.
Do you think it's the accountant's fault, Andy?
I think it's the accountant's fault.
But who's at fault, though, here? Come on. Don't sit on the fence, Hart. I know what you like. I've read your AI analysis.
I don't know for sure that the accountant didn't raise it and the clients declined it, but I've got to be very careful bringing that into conversation because they might have a great relationship with their accountant. And if I say your accountant has done, if they haven't brought this up, they've done you a disservice. It's like, then I'm suddenly querying the patch and everything. Yeah, but it's done. So what? It can't be undone.
Or perhaps the accountant is, I don't know if you guys got an entrepreneur leave, but maybe that's his or her plan.
That as well, yeah.
Yeah, so...
But I still, given the corporation tax from savings, they could have made 80 grand a year between them, and now 120 grand a year. That would have wiped out their profit every year, and they pay no corporation tax. And
they would have saved more money on the corp saving than the ER saving, Nick. Yeah.
So, go ahead, Nick.
I was going to close, and we don't even know where ER. I mean, I know we shouldn't ever make policy on the hoof about what ifs, but there's no way the entrepreneurial relief is going to get more generous in the next year or so. Put it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, guys, that's a really good. So that it's funny how all interlinked. So the last episode was about.
Thanks for that, Carl. You can mute while you're suckling on your water bottle. It's going to go down well.
This episode overlaps a lot with the previous episode about referrals because centres of influence will generate referrals for you, and I think we've just given that a damn good thrashing. And the next episode there's a third part to come in this series on marketing. Whether it's the next episode or not, I don't know because Christmas is coming up. But there will be one more on that. Are we happy to move on, gents, to the next part of the show? Okay, very good. Just as well, because at the door is Postin. She's hauling the bulging sack up my drive, and she's left the sack at my door. So this is a chance for you Trappists to submit your questions. The show is formed by you as much as it's formed by us four jabronis, and every episode we go through one or two Trappist questions that you can send in. The pinned tweet has a little link on it. Click on there, submit your question, your name and your social handles, and we will get around to addressing you. These questions are from July and August, so we're still catching up, but we will come to you. We're doing them in sequential order. Do bear with us on that. I might even improve our fantastic new website, www.therealadvisorpodcast.com, and put a link to the Trappist question form on there as well, making it easier. In time, our website will become the hub you go to for everything. We'll even upload the old podcasts on there as well.
Wow!
But for the moment,
let's saw the future there.
What we've got, and who's this first one from? Open up the envelope. This is from a Mark Powling, who's on Twitter as Mother Alpha Papa, M.A. Powling. I'm a keen listener of your podcast. Been an IFA for 30 years and trading on my own for 19. Now need admin support to ensure good service to clients and make sure I'm not working silly hours. Amen to that. I've been contemplating employing someone part-time for the first time versus outsourcing. What do you guys do, and do you have any advice? I'll throw this over to Mr. Hart, I think.
I would recommend he definitely outsources. It would be cheaper and better. That's my opinion on it. And it will certainly give him an initial, see how he gets on. What tasks does he need help with? And obviously he can build out that sort of like task list. There's a lot of IFA-specific outsourced administration help that is brilliant, which I use. I've been using for years. I definitely recommend he goes the outsource route.
Yeah.
Doesn't this comes back to what sort of business you want to run? We've done one of our early episodes was a solo advisor like you two versus you trying to grow a company, build a business. Because once you understand that, then that will answer. But is the question? He has no support at all right now, and should I hire somebody?
It sounds like he's done everything himself as a solo with no support at all.
I just don't understand why anyone would want it. That's back to the idea of doing $10 jobs, $10 an hour jobs versus $100 or $1,000 an hour jobs. Why would you? Yeah. I don't know what you two got. You both of you. Do you outsource, Nick? I don't even know. Or do you everything yourself? All the minutiae and sitting on the phone to Prudential for 3 hours and all that stuff.
Well, I don't sit on the phone to Prudential. I mean, that can be a pain when I have to interact with the dinosaur companies and Prudential. Much as we like to praise companies as well, Prudential are, as an example, are one you dread. It happens so infrequently, man. It happens for me.
Oh, really?
I don't have any clients with insurance companies. They're on platforms. My process is really honed and it's everybody gets the same experience for good or bad, and I follow a set process all the time, and it minimises the admin.
You're right, Alan. We don't know. We're just interpreting from the question what type of business he's trying to grow and where he's come from. It's quite clear that it's come from a very, very small solo businest, and he's on the journey.
Trading on his own for 19 years. So.
In order it goes, it's like. First of all, I want to try and find a tech solution. So if I can find a tech solution, that's the answer. So for example, I'm not going to employ someone to do my diary management. I'm going to employ Calendly. So that's a tick. When I'm like, is there a tech solution? No, there's not. I need a human. Then I'm like, outsource. Then if there's not a decent outsource, then I'm insource. That's my order. So it goes tech, outsource, then employee. I've got one employee and a team of 12 outsource. I'm happy with that, and I won't be changing that order around. I'll just be adding to the outsource, not the insource. But everyone's trying to build different things and got different things going on.
Okay, I think it's counterintuitive that if you have a bigger firm, then you're going to need to employ people. So, but certainly for smaller one-man band firms, I would echo Andy's point. So, we okay? We've given that a fair answering. Okie dokie. Yes. Thank you for the thumbs up there, Carl. Who is the next one from? This is from a Benjamin Mitchell, who's on Twitter or X as @TheMoneyScott. He's also on LinkedIn, and I'll put his details as well in the so-called show notes. Benjamin asks, "Hi guys, many thanks for sharing your wisdom on the show. As a new startup advisory firm, there's lots to think about, but the Trap podcast really helps to focus my attention. Good. My question is a tad technical, but always one that gets brushed under the carpet in our industry." You mean profession, Ben? We'll give you one. That's your one. Everyone's favourite topic of VAT. How have you guys approached the charging of VAT in your own businesses? The argument goes that if you're implementing business, then it's not VATable. But even if that's a grey area, thoughts and opinions welcomed, and keep up the great podcast work. I'm going to go first to Mr. Smith on this one.
Interesting. It does get brought up from time to time, particularly as the evolution or the revolution continues towards financial planning. It's not a grey area in terms of the VAT exempt status of financial intermediation. We get caught under that, which is generally positive for us because you don't have to register for VAT, etc., through financial intermediation, which covers a lot of things. And I understand part of that goes back to kind of the financial services industry generally, but like the City of London and financial intermediation is a big thing that put us as a country at a significant disadvantage versus whatever, Frankfurt or something else, if we were charging VAT on financial intermediation and others weren't. So I think that's pretty well known. Where it does become a grey area is around the value. If you were just doing standalone financial planning, building financial models, financial plans, financial coaching, financial consulting, that is a VATable process, a VATable service. So it's important to create the link the very visible link between the financial planning journey and actually at some stage you are generally going to do some sort of intermediation, some sort of product investment structure, anything like that. And if anyone's in any doubt, another friend of the podcast called Jason Butler, who was an advisor, ran a fantastic firm for many years. He's now off doing many other things. But good old Jason, in his inimitable style, and anyone who knows Jason will recognize it. He's a good guy, but he's pretty direct. But he took on and I believe he took him to the High Court at HMRC because they were being told they had to charge VAT for the work they did. He didn't believe so. Actually, you can Google it. Company was Bloomsbury Wealth or Bloomsbury Financial Planning, Jason Butler, and he won the case. He won the case, doing what largely, I think that's when you've got these legal precedents that exist, unless some new case comes up, you can always cite them and say, we're doing pretty much the same as what this company was, where there was a high court ruling that said this process is not VATable. But I think you just document it, just be clear. If you're doing the end-to-end thing, which does result in some sort of investment structure, some sort of retail investment product, I think you're pretty safe right now. What are your thoughts, Andy?
Does JB listen to the show? Do you know that?
No chance.
My quick answer to that is get out of your own way, go and find some more clients, pay it no minds, move on next.
Great. Carl, do you want to contribute anything?
Deeply insightful as ever.
I don't know what the VAT situation is in Ireland. Have you got something of value to add?
That makes two of us. No, we don't have to charge VAT on fee income from providers or platforms, which is actually, I assume everybody in Ireland knows this. Like if you are doing business on a platform and the platform provider actually has a private client division and they're pitching for the same business, they do have to charge VAT and we don't. So there's a 23% saving for your client if they did exactly the same thing with you as an intermediary, as opposed to the big private wealth houses, shall we say. And then we do have a thing where if you go over a certain amount for fee income, you have to start charging VAT and all that. But genuinely, I don't really know how that works. Paddy O'Halloran is our CFO, and he's all over that. So don't ask me any questions about that, please, and thank you.
Great stuff.
Do you know, it wouldn't be terrible if we had to charge VAT. We effectively become unpaid tax collectors on behalf of HMRC. And what is...
Oh, no, Alan, it will be really bad. I run two VATable businesses that are small. My VAT return's like 127 pages every quarter.
Yeah, but
your VAT return, Alan, your VAT return for Cam, I'm not joking, will be about 3,500 pages every quarter. I know it's all done by software.
We use technology and
obviously I use technology, but Jesus Christ, mate, it's overwhelming. So if you can get away with not charging...
Yeah, all right, but it depends. What is a frustration to me is a lot of our big expenses, which are plus VAT, we can't claim them back. So
No, Alan, you'll be paying way more out. You'll be paying way more out than you're taking in. You'll get a tiny offset. Mate. You don't want to be paying that.
Are you sure?
Okay, so Andy, you're not. I'm lost here. Are you in favour of that or not? Okay.
I'm very pleased that regulated businesses that do intermediation, that look after the money, are VAT exempt or whatever the status is. You know, the person that's asked the question is a new startup firm. I'm pretty sure they're going to be a high-end vanilla firm. Just get on with it. Don't worry about the VAT, like none of us else are.
Rather than register for VAT and then be able to offset against the VATable items you buy, how about getting rid of VAT? Okay, same end, right? Same goal, same done. Won't happen, will it?
Political
taxes in, never goes
that
away.
Is a huge intake, you know. Yeah. Anyway.
Right, we've answered two Trappist questions. So if you want to leave a Trappist question, dear Trappist, do click on the link in the pinned tweet, and at some stage do look at our website, which I might have mentioned, www.therealadvisorpodcast.com. Okay, I think we're well over the hour mark, so it's time to crack on with Culture Corner. Oh, I thought the media board was going to do me right as we get to the end. Okay,
are we going to talk about the media board?
No, let's not talk about the media board. Charlie Munger, we mentioned his passing at the age of 99. Interestingly, there's a podcast called Invest Like the Best, and they had a recording with Charlie in the can that was due to come out about now anyway, because his book, the Charlie Munger Almanac book, is being reprinted again, and then they thought they'd put this interview out, and with the acceptance of his family, who said that Charlie would want this interview to go out, they put it out, so you can hear Charlie Munger speak from the grave, as it were. A 99-year-old man, still incredibly sharp and pithy and funny and so forth. And I can't believe there are many other recorded episodes of Charlie Munger that are waiting to be published. So this might be the last thing that he ever did. So well worth listening to. I'm just getting through it now. It's about an hour or so. It's just Charlie Munger. You wouldn't know he was not. You had no idea he was 99. There's a link to that in the so-called show notes. Mr. Smith.
Is that that's Invest Like the Best? That's the O'Shaughnessy. O'Shaughnessy one's really good. Really good. So there's been some cracking ones with him in the past. Yes, I'll check that out, Nick. Yeah, a couple of things I've just been consuming on telly recent times. Vanishing Act, which is on ITV or ITVX, so it's available. You can download, you watch it, etc. This is the story. This is the dramatization of one that Carl mentioned quite a few episodes ago. This Australian Melissa Caddick, this firm. It's bizarre. What's quite interesting for people like us is we've seen all this stuff about Bernie Madoff and all the rest of it, and it's kind of, although we're generally in that industry sort of, but we're not really in the same sort of world as he was. This was effectively an IFA, an Australian financial advisor, although completely unregistered. She'd borrowed someone else's registration numbers, just set up and created this entire aura of herself, and driving fast cars, wearing expensive clothes, going to all the right parties and things. Just a fascinating story. How she managed to hoodwink people. The sums of money actually weren't huge. It's about 40 million, I think Aussie dollars, which isn't, compared to the Madoff and everything else, is relatively small. It's actually very poignant in it, because she basically ripped off her parents, sister, family, everyone. It was just awful, and no one ever really knows whatever happened to her. She's completely disappeared off the face of the earth. Her foot was found, of all things, washed up on shore. And there's a few different kind of
she's dead. She's
guesses
gone.
I think she may have messed with the wrong people as well, and maybe stole some money off a few shady characters, which is kind of insinuated. Anyway, it's highly entertaining, and it's kind of
I think she's been eaten by a shark, mate, and the shark spat the foot out. And there is a podcast. I think it was Carl that maybe turned us on to this. There's a podcast series about her. So if you don't watch TV or don't want to watch TV, then you prefer an audio, just search for Melissa Caddick, the podcast. It's a very 10 episodes really good. So. It was quite pacey.
No, it was only the podcast. Yeah, this one is about 3 episodes on the TV program.
Okay, Mr.
Anyway,
Smith,
the other one I've got briefly is I used to be a big fan of snooker when I was a young man. I used to watch it a lot on the TV and used to play it a bit. And I've just been watching the kind of rise and fall of this genius called Ronnie O'Sullivan, who's just the episode is going out earlier this week, or last weekend. He won again. He won the British Championship snooker. And coincidentally, I started watching this thing on Amazon Prime TV. It's called The Edge of Everything, which just tracks his life and his success of
it's really good.
The last few. It's
really good.
He's just like a lot of these guys who's just that borderline between genius and madness. He's got a lot of voices in his head. He's got
he goes through. Yeah,
story with he was so close to his dad. It's well documented. His dad went to prison, and it's a fabulous kind of fly in the wall. They got deep insight into what was going on in his mind, and he talks about mental health issues. And this was like, as he says it, this is real mental health issues. I was ahead of the game. I was doing sort of mental health things 20 years ago before it became fashionable. But it's a fabulous,
very troubled when he's playing. You think he just goes out there and it's just effortless. No. It's a lot more going on.
It's well worth watching. If you like anyone he's just a genius. He's the best ever at this. Anyone who's the best ever at a sport, it's worth just sort of watching how they've achieved their level of success. I recommend it. Thank you.
Interesting. Okay, I should try and find the time to watch that. Great stuff. Wodge.
What did I put in, Nick?
Oh, Christ,
the ETF story.
Sorry to wake you up, Nick.
I actually struggled a little bit. I'm actually running on empty, I'll be honest, and looking forward to a little bit of a break at the end of this year. So I struggled for a Culture Corner piece, but I did listen to this is a Bloomberg series, short episodes on kind of the rise of the ETF following Black Monday in 1987.
It's not great, I'll be honest, right?
Thanks for your culture.
There's loads of Bloomberg.
Listen to it.
There's loads of Bloomberg ads that are at the end of the episode, and then they're at the start of the next episode. I'm like, I've just listened to that. Like, just move on. But it is quite interesting in terms of where the ETF, the spider came from, and that kind of stuff. So look, we should know this stuff. So it's easy listening for sure.
Right, all right.
Carl, I think it sounds like you need to go on a 3-day retreat by yourself on a country cottage or by the beach, and just
a lad holiday.
Just
I saw how cranky it made you. I'm definitely not doing it.
Yeah, why haven't you spoken about that, Alan? You
mentioned it last time that I was going on.
Yeah,
it,
but you've actually done it now. So how did it go? Was it successful? The planning.
Well, I recommend it to everyone. It was wonderful. I had some headspace, time to think, go for long walks, reflect on my life, reflect on my friendship with you, and how I wanted.
Sit down by the fire that had no fire
Send
on it.
cranky texts.
For 3 days. Leave your clothes there.
Leave your clothes there.
Shut up. I loved it. I recommend it to everyone. And that's why I can come up with good culture corner things, not nonsense that you just try to squeeze in that you think is actually rubbish.
You went all the way to Kent to watch a really depressing documentary about Ronnie O'Sullivan and then leave your clothes there, come back and then go back and get your clothes the next day.
Andy.
That's it.
You've got two items, Andy.
I've got two items. Yeah, the first one is a podcast recommendation. It's a podcast called My First Million. I quite like it. And they've got a founder of a company that's called Tiny. And Tiny pitches themselves as a sort of internet version of Berkshire Hathaway. So they buy incredibly profitable businesses and they make them, hyper profitable by making some tweaks and stuff. So the founder, Andrew Wilkinson, talks about boring businesses. There's a lot of good insights I took from that episode. I think you listened to it as well, Alan. But if you're into sort of online scalable type businesses and different types of ways of thinking about business, it's got some superb insighs in that episode. It's
really good. It is a good one. I did listen to on your recommendation. The interesting thing about all these sort of podcasts is they're probably like this one. They're hit and miss. Some of them. My First Million. I mean, I find one of them. I find one of the hosts quite annoying, which is probably again like this one as well. But some of the episodes they do are really good, and that one was good because Andrew Wilkinson is a superstar in just business building and creation. And value building and profit building.
He's absolutely brilliant.
And
he's a listed company in Canada. Quite interesting. Yeah. He runs online businesses and he also runs a bakery. And the online businesses are super profitable and there's lots going on with them. There's lots of stuff to learn. But when he meets people, all they want to know is about the bakery. It's like his highest hassle business and loads of other stuff he goes into. It's quite interesting. My next point is quite unrelated to financial services. This is sort of on the level of the Carl's bag and my IKEA wardrobe, but it's a superb film from Bill Nighy or Knightley. It's called Living. Nighy, yeah, it's called Living, and it's on Amazon Prime, and it's just the most wonderfully filmed, cinematography I've seen of any film. There is a story to it because it's called Living. It's all about him getting some sort of bad illness, and it's all based around London, sort of 60, 70 years ago. So that sort of the early time of commuting. It's got loads of just stories embedded into it, and people do say it's like the most beautiful film they've ever seen. So it's definitely worth checking it out.
What's it got to do with financial services? What's it got to do? What's the relevance for the audience?
Fuck all. I pitched it like that.
I mean, well, you're just wasting everyone's time.
It's got good human stories interweaved in it. It's an amazing film.
I watched it. I've watched it a while ago. It's brilliant. It's lovely. It's very gentle. Great. It's a lovely film to watch at this time of year with your family or other. There's no big dramas. It's kind of slow moving, but it's got
tenuous
beautiful.
Connections.
It's beautiful.
Tenuous connections to what we do. Back to you, boss.
None, but
I'm looking forward to the film they're going to make about the guy who made AI faces that were shit, and then see if we can link that into financial services. By the way, that's 4 F-bombs, and I'm not doing any editing. Okay, listen, we're all running on fumes. I think that we're coming to an end of the episode 34, the second in our marketing masterclass series. Thank you for your time, dear Trappist. Please do like and subscribe to us on your podcast app of choice, and not like and subscribe, just subscribe to it. That way, every episode goes into your phone, bang, in the early hours of every Thursday morning. Please do that. And likewise with the YouTube channel, please like and subscribe to that as well. And do check out the new website, www.therealadvisorpodcast.com. I think that's pretty much about it, isn't it, guys? Yeah, I think we're done. So, Trappists, love you all. Take care. Adios from the Trap Pack, and we will speak to you on the other side. Goodbye.
See you later. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Absolute shambles.
I think we should do white collar box.